CBS Sports Daily NFL Podcast. I'm Brinson. I'm your host. Time for some Week 14. Week 14 already. My goodness. Best bets. Breaking it down with me. Look at the top options. It's a spread. Totals on for every game. Pete Prisco and RJ White. What's up, boys?
What's up?
Bad week. Short slate. Shake it off. All three of us below 500 this week. I went 3-4. Pete went 2-4. RJ 1-5. RJ and Pete still comfortably over 500. I'm right around 500. Putting more bets than y'all, but that's okay. Justin mentioned Ryan Wilson. Love Ryan Wilson. He's actually leading the yearly against the spread picks on CBSSports.com for the second year in a row somehow. Somebody needs to walk it down. But
here's Ryan Wilson.
It's pure luck. But Ryan Wilson also now hosting a new podcast. You can watch these shows on this feed, on this YouTube channel. If you're watching on YouTube, youtube.com/pick6. Smash the like button. Tell us your favorite bet against the spread if you're in the comments. And if you search with the first pick, that's the name of it, Ryan Wilson, and in a longtime NFL GM, Rick Spielman, search with the first pick on any podcast platform, and you can listen to it there. Some really good stuff from those guys as we head towards the NFL draft. All right. Let's dive right in, right? So we can probably bang this thing out in like 30 minutes. It's just a short slate. 6 buys in week 14 is kind of crazy, man.
It is crazy. Particularly for like fantasy players.
Yeah, it's really tough for fantasy players because you've got like if you're like right on the edge of the playoffs, like you might not get in because you have a bunch of Packers on Commanders, whoever else. Yeah.
If you have a bunch of Packers, you're probably
choosing. Right. Yeah, you did anyway. You got a bunch of Packers.
I mean, maybe like you saved your season by claiming Christian Watson, and now you can't use him this week.
Yeah. Terrible.
Aaron Jones has been pretty good. Rodgers has been pretty bad. Eagles -7 at the Giants. We start there. Total 45, Pete.
Yeah, I just think in these rivalry games, you're going to give me 7 points at home. That's a lot of points. And these two have, they've had a long rivalry. We've seen good teams lose and better teams lose, and we've seen bad teams, go in and win games. So I'm going to take the Giants plus the points. I think defensively it's going to be a challenge for them, but they're getting better rushing the passer, which I think, last week we saw the Eagles throw the ball around against the Titans. They're pretty good on the defensive line. So I don't love the Giants offense by any stretch of the imagination, and the Eagles have been better against the run, but I'm still going to take the 7 at home with the Giants, one of my best bets.
Yeah, I kind of was thinking the same thing, but I couldn't do it with this Giants offense against the Philly defense. That's now number 1 in yards per play, pass yards per play. Interception percentage, they're number 2 in sack rate. I don't think the Giants can be able to pass the ball at all with their receivers they have right now. And Philly's offense looked great last week, pass-heavy plan. They can go back to running the ball here. Giants defense, 30th in rush yards per play. 3 straight games allowing 160-plus rush yards. I think the line is probably around right, but it's a divisional game, so I can understand why you would lean Giants. If I was going to play it, I'd probably go either under 45 or under the Giants team total, under 18.5, because I don't think they scored points here.
Yeah, this is a tough one because Philly is a truck, but it's the Giants are in this weird spot because they had these 2 games against Washington, and like their sandwich is Philly, and Washington's sandwich is like a bye week, and that is a tough beat for a team that's desperate to make the playoffs. Obviously, Philly is a better team. 7 at home in a divisional game is just a ton of points. It's a hard pass for me. I think that if anything, I might look to maybe play the total or consider teasing the Eagles. That seems like dangerous there. Teasing a road division favorite like that,
especially at 7, and a 7 that we saw, it was plus 100, I think, on the Eagles. So it wants to be 6.5. So it's not even a full 7.
Yeah. So it's like you should even wait to tease it and see if it moves. Nothing there for me. Browns, but it should be a good game. By the way, Pete, who would you vote for MVP today? Jalen Hurts or Patrick Mahomes? What would you think?
Probably
Joe Burrow.
Jalen Hurts might be ahead right now.
Okay. And so you got to do your ballots. It'd be Hurts, Mahomes, Burrow, Allen, Jefferson,
maybe
Tyreek.
Two is still in the conversation.
Right, 2 is probably still 5.
Yeah.
Pretty firm 5 though that we got left. Browns at the aforementioned Joe Burrow's Bengals. The Bengals -6. This line's actually down to 5.5. A total of 47. Joe Burrow, Pete, despite being the number 1 overall pick, playing incredible football for almost his entire career in the NFL, has never beaten the Cleveland Browns. He's 3-0 against the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes. 0-4 against the Browns and then whatever cobbled together quarterback situation they've had the last few years. Make it make sense.
Well, I don't know how that makes sense, but they are rivals in the division, so those are always usually pretty tough games. But, look, Deshaun Watson was awful last week, and I think that game will allow him to shake off the rust. And I think, defensively, the Browns are very good. We get it. I think the Bengals are really good on offense, so that's a problem here. But I'm going to stay with history here. I'm going to go with the trend. I'm going to take the 5.5 with the Browns, or ours was 6, actually, I think it was. And I'm going to take the 6 with the Browns and keep it close. I think they hang around in this game. They won't win it, but give me 6 points. I'll take the Browns.
I'm on the other side. We see 5.5 now, so definitely lay 5.5 if you're out there in the market. But since we had it at 6, I still locked in Cincy 6 as a best bet. I know that they haven't played well against Cleveland. Their offensive line hasn't been playing as well in those games as it is right now. And that's what was the key to Cleveland's defensive line dominating them in that first game, and the offense couldn't do anything. So I think Cincy's offensive line playing better is going to allow their offense to operate the way it's supposed to. Cleveland scored 27 points with no offensive touchdowns last week. Very hard to do. The market overrated Watson after a long layup. I think it's probably still overrating him now because he's going on the road to face maybe the AFC's best team at this point off a huge win. And Cleveland's defense has allowed 30-plus points 5 times. And if you're not getting dumb turnovers, then you're going to have to win in a shootout. And I just haven't seen that with Watson yet. So I think Cleveland can score 30 plus, or I think Cincy can score 30 plus in this game and cover the number. So that's why I have Cincy -6 as a best bet.
I got Cincy as a best bet too. And I've also got the over as a best bet. I think we see more from Watson. I want let me make sure that we don't have Cincinnati weather hadn't changed since I last looked. Sunday. No, it's going to be high at 50. No real wind, no rain. Just a nice little cool, cold ass December day in Cincinnati. The last year, Joe Burrow's final 4 games that he played of the season, he didn't play in week 18 because the Bengals didn't need him to. None of their starters did. He completed 76% of his passes, threw for 370 yards per game, 11 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, and had a 10.5 yards per passing attempt average. That is an insane 4-game stretch. I think we could see him about to go off on the same kind of tear here. This is just when Joe Burrow sort of elevates his play, starts really cranking it up a notch. He's got all his weapons back healthy. Jamar Chase got that game under his belt. You have an offensive line that's playing much better, a run game that can really do some damage on the ground. And Cleveland's the type of team that, since these defense playing pretty well, but like Cleveland can get involved in these overs because Nick Chubb could pop off big runs. And I think Watson will play better this time around. And that hopefully, he has to play better. Can't play worse. Like you said, knock the rust off a little bit. I think we see lots of points. I just think Cincinnati's could potentially crush them, but I like the idea of Cleveland helping get this over through the back door. So I'm going to double dip on this game. I like Cincy a lot in this spot. Viking.
RJ, you want to change your pick, RJ?
He had the best record last week, so I'm tailing him at this point.
I don't know about that. Well, we talked about beforehand. It's actually the reason we tanked Billy. Billy took our bets, and that's Billy mushed us. That's the problem. But that's okay, Billy. We'll forgive you. Vikings at the Lions. Lions -2.5. It's actually down to 2 on Caesars. Total 51.5, actually up to 52. Pete, it's our square over of the week.
And I'm gonna go with it again. Look, it's come in the last couple times, so I think it comes in here as well. The Lions aren't good on defense. The Vikings are bad on defense. We know that. They don't stop anybody. They play that soft cover too. I think Jared Goff's playing good football, by the way. And I think when you look at what they've done, it's pretty amazing. They're in a playoff race. Everybody will look at this and say, hey, why are the Vikings underdogs? Well, they're underdogs because the Lions are playing good football right now. And there's still a lot of questions about the Vikings. So I'm going to take, the Lions in part of my teaser. But I'm also going to take the over as a best bet. I'm square again, and I think it's going to come in pretty easily in this one.
Yeah, the market has been against the Vikings all year. Remember that Arizona game they played where the line crashed down because the people just didn't believe. They look under the hood and they see the stats with this team, and they're like, they should not have this record. That's why you see Detroit, when they're playing well, be the favorite here. Minnesota's offense, they won last week. They struggled against the Jets despite the win. They'll have more success here. Detroit's D coming off its best defensive game but they are still 32nd in yards per play. Vikings are bottom 3 yards per play. Minnesota's defense has allowed 400 plus yards in 4 straight and over half their games this season. A lot of yards coming for Detroit, but Vikings can come in and score a bunch too with that offense and Justin Jefferson. So Detroit doesn't get 2.5 for home field for me. When the line was 2.5, it's the market saying Detroit is the better team here, which is odd to see. My play here is obviously going to be to tease the Vikings up through the 3 and the 7 to get Vikings plus 8.5 as the first leg of my teaser.
We need like a little jingle, like Pete and Will's Square Total of the Week or something. Look, I'm on this over too. I mean, I saw this come out. I was like, you can't make this high enough for me. I mean, these guys, like Kevin O'Connell's offense, a little less schizophrenic than Mike Zimmer's offense, but I mean, like they're willing to crank up the tempo a little bit and play. The Lions defense playing better. And certainly the Vikings can rush the passer here, but I just think we see a ton of points in a back and forth. I mean, it seems a little too obvious, but at 52, I mean, like we just haven't seen a ton of huge overs coming in, with the exception of a few teams like the Seahawks at various points in the season. They locked down for a little bit, and then the Lions too, and they slowed down for a little bit. But they've been doing a good job of bringing in these totals all most of the season. So I don't have a problem going with the over here. I really hope the Lions win this because I want Dan Campbell in the playoffs, man. And I did the math. They can actually lose one of their games to close out and still get in the playoffs. They need, obviously, Washington and New York they need the NFC East basically to help them out, and or Seattle or San Francisco to crater, which seems a little bit less likely. But yeah, give me the over here. I think that's all I got. Oh, actually, I had I forgot to mention, I have the Bengals in a teaser as well. I don't have the Vikings or the Lions in a teaser, or the Vikings in a teaser, excuse me. I had the Bengals in a teaser from the previous game. I was looking to make sure I didn't have the Lions, but I like the over in this game as a best bet.
If it was in early, we would see it in the rundown.
Yeah. Actually, I had it written down. I just forgot to say it then. Hey, let me ask you something too.
Me and RJ don't see it.
Okay. I mean, you knew I was taking this over, please. Let me ask you something. Joe Burrow is currently, he has 3,446 passing yards. Patrick Mahomes, 3,808. Is there any way that Joe Burrow can walk down Patrick Mahomes in terms of passing yards this season?
But it's unlikely. That's like one
Mahomes
more game.
Minus 500 most passing yards. Joe Burrow is plus 750.
Depends on week 18. Is one of them sitting and one of them playing for the number 1 seed?
Yeah. That's the problem. Is I think Mahomes might not sit week 18 because they're right there with the Bills.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, good point.
Well, and Burrow might not be able to sit week 18 either.
I think Burrow will be playing the entire season because they're likely going to be in a dogfight with the Ravens for the division anyway.
Right.
Mahomes could sit but if they go to week 18 and they're tied with the Bills, they'd have to be one. If they're one game back in the Bills, I think he sits. If they're locked into the 2, because they'd be locked into the 2 seed, one game back, even if the Bills lost.
They might not be. They might not be locked into the 2 seed because they have how many losses now? 3. And if the Bengals won out, they would have 4, and they'd have the edge.
So the Bengals could catch them. Yeah, it's a good point. Yeah, it's a good point. All right.
That's really matter though.
So 8 to 1, 7.5 to 1 is not worth it. Then we don't think.
Probably not.
Yeah, it's too many yards to make up. Okay, I was just looking at most yards. I was just curious to see who it was. All right. Ravens minus 2.5 at the Steelers. Over under 37. Whew. Down to 36.5 on Caesars. Just have reeks of not a classic old school AFC North battle, Pete, but this looks like a line you could see from Ravens Steelers when it was like Flacco versus Big Ben and James Harrison and Terrell Suggs were involved, except it's just not as much fun.
Yeah, and I just can't think that Huntley is going to go into Pittsburgh and win. But I'm a little leery of the Steelers' offense as well. I mean, Pickett's played well, but he doesn't throw for any yards. I mean, he's all he's doing is managing the game. He's not turning it over. That's a good thing. So I flipped this and took the 3.5 in the teaser with the Steelers because I think it's a field goal game at best either way. I'm just safeguarding myself against that, and so I'll take the Steelers plus the 3.5. And I think they win the game, by the way. But it just to cover myself in case Pickett becomes a rookie again, I did that.
So why not tease the other team instead?
Yeah, why don't you tease the Ravens?
8 points.
Well, for one thing, I was going to, and then I thought I'm not taking Huntley on the road, so that was my concern. So I went that way because I think he could blow up worse than Pickett.
You thought RJ is obviously going to tease this, and I don't want to be on the same teaser as him after what happened last week.
I mean, I even teased the Ravens. This is my teaser too.
Yeah, this is second leg of my teaser. Baltimore plus 8.5. Huntley was solid in relief last year. He kept every game close. He won his first game starter, and then he kept the last three close. They lost by a point, and I think 3, and nearly beat 2 of the NFC's top teams that year, Green Bay and the Rams. Pittsburgh's D had a great game against Atlanta. I think having Ronnie Staley is going to be key for Baltimore, and I believe he's trending toward playing. I believe he was back at practice on Wednesday. Pittsburgh's offense, 40-plus yards and scored on each of their first 5 drives versus Atlanta. They were doing whatever they wanted, but this is a different defensive matchup here. Baltimore's defense shined on third down against an awful Denver offense, but they've been playing well for weeks now since trading for Roquan Smith. So Pickett's improving, but I think it's going to be tough to have success here. Low-scoring game, obviously, with that total. One team's probably winning by a field goal or 4 points and give Pete a heart attack there. So if you can't get Baltimore plus 3, I think it's a great teaser leg and teasing Baltimore.
We're all going to win. It's going to be right in the middle.
Yeah, I mean, you could actually. Well, I guess you could. I think you could theoretically get away. I mean, I wouldn't do it, but you get away with teasing. Can you do a Baltimore Steelers teaser, a Ravens Steelers teaser? Like each of them gets 6, and you just hope it lands 3 or.
I don't know if you could do that.
I don't know if the books will let you, but I mean, they give you like exact margin of victory props too. So just play those instead, if that's what you're looking to do.
Yeah, I mean, I understand what your logic, Pete, is, but I also think that you, the one issue with it is you just don't want to tease through. Like you're just wasting points by teasing through 0.
We'll see.
No, I'm saying like from a.
When they beat the Ravens 21-6 because Huntley doesn't play well, then you guys will be a loser and I'll be a winner. We'll see.
A what?
A loser.
No, I mean, but like.
You're a loser.
RJ, do you want to explain the teaser?
I understand.
No. I'm not saying explain to Pete. I'm saying explain to the listeners who might be like, there might be people who don't understand. Like you're losing. You're theoretically wasting points when you go through 0, right?
Right, because a game almost never lands on 0. Now that you get 1 or 2 a year that do land on 0, but the 2 points you're giving up to tease from 1 on one side to 1 on the other side isn't as valuable as the 2 points anywhere else. Particularly going through key numbers, as when you tease the other way, you go through 3 and 7, and you get 6 and 4 too. So you're getting a lot of key numbers.
If I wasn't getting the half, I wouldn't have done it. But I'm getting the half, so I think that's.
I'm not saying. Look, if you're right, you're right. Like if the steel, I'm just saying that I just wanted the explanation in case people heard. Yeah.
No.
I was talking about it. I want to know.
Normally, I would take my teasers. I take them going back the other way, and I did last week, and it backfired on me.
I think the Ravens one that backfired there.
That's right. The Ravens one.
-8 down to -2, and then we lose our starting quarterback right away, and then they win by 1. So we missed our teaser by 1 point anyway.
But they had 17 yards when he went out, by the way.
Right.
He wasn't playing very well. That's right. All right. Next up. I haven't been really keeping my eye out for revenge. Don't think there's a whole lot of revenge on the slate, is there? How about the Malik Hooker revenge game? Didn't see that one coming, did you? Last week?
We wouldn't have given you that one.
Probably not. Panthers at the Seahawks. Talk about a rancid line, although it does appear to be moving. Seahawks -3.5. It is now -115 on Caesars. The Seahawks, of course, favored at home against Carolina. A total of 44. I mean,
this line looks so stinky to me.
It is repulsive, man. Why are the Seahawks not like -6 here?
Or 5?
They were, and then they got bet down. Everybody wanted to be on Carolina because Seahawks shouldn't be laying that many points with that defense.
That defense is really bad, by the way. But what is the offense on the other side? I mean, are they any good? They're not any good. I wanted to take Carolina. I just couldn't do it, and I'm not going to do it. I'm not making a best bet on this game at all. I probably still lean to the Seahawks because I think they can score points with their passing game. I don't know if Carolina, even against a bad defense, is going to go up and down the field. So that concerns me. I wanted to take Carolina. I'm not crazy. I didn't have the big enough what's to do it.
Guess who does?
You.
Guess who has two thumbs and has big enough, you know what to do with this guy.
Yeah.
Two thumbs and a giant sack of onions.
Best bet plus 3.5. You can find 4, so get 4. And obviously want to wait for 4, but we're locking in these lines now. So I'm playing plus 3.5. Carolina 3-3 since going away from Baker Mayfield at quarterback. Only 2 of those losses were in overtime. One loss was in overtime. Only regulation losses were at Cincinnati, at Baltimore. 2 very good teams when they played them. So this team, they can run the ball. They had 169 plus rush yards in those 4 good games. Seattle's defense 28th in yards per rush. Carolina's defense 8th in pass yards per play. I know Geno has looked like a sleeper MVP candidate. Put him as number 5 in your MVP list there, Pete, because he's been playing very well. But he has faced a lot of mediocre pass defenses too. So some of that is matchup. Some of it is he's playing extremely well too. Power ratings say like Seattle, the line should probably be 4.5 or 5. I just like Carolina coming off a bye, matchup advantage there. Seahawks defense being terrible. So play the 4, but I'll lock it in at plus 3.5 as a best bet, even after the big move.
Any interest in the total here, RJ? I mean, you talked about were you the first one. Everybody's like, play the Lions overs. It was like, no, actually, it's Seattle overs. And then Seattle's defense kind of came together for like 3 weeks, but now looks putrid again. The obvious concern is, can Carolina hold up their end of the bargain in terms of the point scoring? And it's possible they can't.
Yeah, I think they can. I mean, the Rams did last week against the Seahawks, and the Rams have nobody. I mean, that Carolina offense, I'll take it over what the Rams offense looks like 10 times out of 10.
Okay. Yeah, I would be interested in the over at 44. I think that's a game too where you could get some maybe DFS looks with those 2 teams, but I'm not. I mean, I can't take the Panthers here. I mean, I respect your grocery cart full of yellows and reds and what other Vidalias, whatever kind of onions you're walking around the shopping cart with, RJ. But Panthers they're not a great team. They got to hire Steve Wilkes.
No.
Well, if they went out and went to the postseason, they would.
Yeah, they're only like 12 to 1.
They're not out of it yet.
They're not out of it at all. I mean, the Buccaneers should win the division.
Buccaneers should have lost last week. Imagine Atlanta's going to Desmond Ridder now at quarterback, and they're kind of in the thick of a playoff race. And they're like, yeah, we got to look at the future quarterback anyway.
I know it's pretty wild. Dolphins at the Chargers. Dolphins -3. This is Sunday Night Football now. It's got flexed into Sunday Night Football, or is it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Got flexed in, and the Patriots and the Cardinals got flexed out, right?
No, that's a Monday night. The Chiefs Broncos got flexed.
Yes, I got nothing. Finally, we hear you, Broncos country. We do not want to ride anymore. The NFL said we're out.
Please putting the Broncos in. Stop putting them in prime time. It's Thursday. It's Monday. It's just stop, please.
Yeah, it's seriously, and it's like you get Tua's finally come of age. Tua's finally broken out this season.
He broke back in last week, by the way.
What's that?
He went back in last week.
It's the best defense in the league. I mean,
he played poorly. And then, granted, he didn't have his tackles. I get it.
Yep, didn't have his tackles and played poorly. But
this isn't a survival test for the Chargers right here, and it's almost
this is Brandon Staley's job on the line.
Well, you also look. This is Miami's big game too. Think about this: they go to Buffalo next week, then they have home game against Green Bay. Green Bay's not any good, but still, Green Bay. And then you got New England and the Jets on the road to close out the season. Is it inconceivable that they lost all those games down the stretch?
Yes.
It's not inconceivable. It's not inconceivable. It's very unlikely.
It's probably not going to happen, but it's not inconceivable.
They have too good of an offense to lose all the games.
Probably so.
I mean, it's inconceivable. It's conceivable if people get hurt, I think, but I can't see a team with that good of an offense doing that.
This is one that I think the Chargers are going to win. I think this is going to be Herbert finally being able to drive the ball down the field. Miami's defense isn't very good. I don't think. I think they have problems. I think the Dolphins will score. Don't get me wrong. I think they'll score points as well. This could be fun to watch. This could be up and down track meet type of game. And I'm going to take the Chargers plus the points. I just think that I think they're in a position where their season, their coach, everything is on the line. They have to play well, and I think they will. I'll take the Chargers plus the 3.5 as the best bet.
Everything was on the line in week 18 last year for the Chargers. How did that work out?
Also, you're only getting 3 in for the show purposes, Pete. Just so you know.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. It's up to 3.
It's moved to 3.5.
I think they win. I think they win the game.
Ooh, is this revenge for either one of these? Like for Tua or Herbert?
No, there's no revenge. Why? Because he come on, you're making stuff up.
Revenge on Herbert for Miami passing on him.
Yeah. Spite, not revenge. I mean,
The problem is Herbert doesn't call the plays there.
yeah,
Miami's defense actually has played much better than the Vegas defense, I would say, most of the year. And so this is a step up there. And the Chargers did not look good against that Vegas defense. They didn't score a touchdown until the fourth quarter there. They got spotted a pick 6 and still got their butts beat in that game. So Miami just got their clocks cleaned by an elite defense, I know, but the Chargers didn't play very well against a defense they should have played well against too. Chargers defense, especially bad against the run. We always say Dolphins are more of a passing team, but the Chargers are 24th in pass yards per play and 24th in sack percentage. So it's not like in sack rate. So it's not like they're great against the pass either. They gave up 6.8 yards per play to Vegas, and that offense played poorly. So I think Tua seems fine. It looks like Teron Armstead could return here. They're optimistic about him. Would love to see that he would be ruled in before I played it, but I wanted to get the 3. So best bet, Miami -3. I'm on the other side.
Oh, we're on opposite sides. I like it.
This one in the Bengals game.
Yeah, you guys on Oppo on 2 of them. I think I'd lean towards the Chargers too. I mean, if the Chargers lose this game, like it's everything's getting blown up. The season's over. I mean, 6-7, they're done, right?
Plus, I got some word into Staley. He's going to allow me to call the plays this week, so the ball's actually going to go down the field once in a while.
Do you pulled a Celtic Pride remember Celtic Pride?
Yeah,
They kidnap. You kidnapped Joe Lombardi.
I mean, their offense is so painful to watch with that guy He should be throwing it all the time down the field, and they don't.
Jamie, do you think part of it is like, with Rashawn Slater done for the year, they're worried about just protecting him, or is it?
But they didn't do it early in the year either.
Yeah, they don't do it. It's not the design of the offense.
Don't.
I mean, it's sort of. Did we talk about this last week? Where it's like, wow, look at what happened in Miami with Justin Herbert's old coach. He's like, that offense stinks.
Here's what I said the other day on HQ. I said, could you imagine Justin Herbert in Miami's offense with Mike McDaniel calling plays and those receivers on the outside?
It would be an.
Tua's played well. Don't get me wrong. Tua's played really well. I'm going to give him all the credit in the world because I'm wrong about him. But he isn't as good as the other guy. Herbert
would be slinging bombs down the field.
Oh my God!
Or better yet, drag Bruce Arians out of retirement, and let him coach Justin Herbert, and just have him just heaving it deep all the time, right?
Let anybody coach him. Like anybody with 2 eyes can see how to use him successfully. And
plus, we always have to. When you pick the Chargers, you always have to overcome the moron factor going for it on 4th and 8 from his own 20 all the time too. But hopefully,
and you got to overcome the fact that they're the Chargers and they like to charger it up.
Yep. But I'm taking
massive coaching mismatch. I'll take the 3 point. Play the 3 points.
Yes.
Well, we're going to find out about Mike McDaniel, RJ. He hasn't had any of this. Everything's been funny and ha ha ha. They have the good start. The quarterback he came back, and
you're talking about Tua as a top 5 MVP candidate. He turned him into that.
I get it, but let's see how he handles the big picture after you come off a bad loss.
And you think playing the Chargers is big picture?
Well, if he has another bad loss, then you got to go to Buffalo. So this is a big week for Mike McDaniel.
That's the one thing I'm worried about in taking Miami is that it's a look ahead pick to Buffalo. But they're out west. They stayed out west. The team building exercises that are going on out there. Everybody in the same hotel for a week, and I think they'll come out strong out of that.
Yeah, and the other thing too is just if you want to get into the look ahead spot, it is too like a sandwich game because you played Kyle Shanahan, your old boss. I mean, obviously that was a hype game for Mike McDaniel. And you even caught him on the sideline too. He said, "I effed up," which I thought was really interesting that you don't hear a lot of coaches say that during the game. And then you have Buffalo in that huge matchup where you're trying to win the division. So yes, you could argue this is a trap game as favorites on the road, or at least a sandwich game. I don't think they'll lose. I don't think they'll lose all the games. But man,
it's a punch them in the mouth game. That's what it is.
Right? What is that? Is that a punch? Is that a punch game?
Yeah. You put it on your desk and you get irritated over things and you punch.
I think it's punched 15 times an hour.
And to be clear, in a punch them in the mouth game, you're backing the Chargers against a different team.
Yeah, I mean, this could be a Jeff Wilson.
It could be the owner of the Chargers punching the head coach in the mouth.
Maybe.
Couldn't Jeff Wilson and Raheem Mostert just run for 150 yards each in this game? And like two
like RJ said, we say it every week. Chargers never stop the run.
Chargers can't stop anybody in the run. It's like Brandon Staley's.
It doesn't matter who they play, who they bring in, who they sign, who they draft. They can't stop the run.
That's a Brandon Staley thing.
Crazy.
It's weird. All right. Let's take a quick break. When we come back, more best bets from week 14. Next. Patriots at the Cardinals. Monday Night Football. How have the Patriots in primetime?
This is vulgar.
It is. This is disgusting. Revenge game for former New England quarterback Cliff Kingsbury, Pete?
No.
I'm kidding. Pats are minus 1.5, a total here of 44.5 we have. It's actually dropped to 43.5, which I think is probably the correct move given these two teams and their offenses.
By the way, Belichick says, no. My tree is already bad enough. Don't count him as part of my coaching tree.
I know he's like I'll take Vrabel who played for me, but I do not want
Kingsbury. You can't take Vrabel if you can do that. So.
You got to pick. You get one or two.
No, I don't want him. Look, I think this is New England's offense. We saw it last week. It was a disaster. They're another group that has no idea what they're doing. The quarterback is complaining. They run the ball when they're supposed to throw it. They don't know what they're doing. Their speed game outside is minimal. And yet I still think they're going to go to Arizona and win this game. I don't love this side on either game on either side, but I'll take the Patriots in this spot. I don't know why, because I think Arizona might have a complete house cleaning after the season. Keim would go. I think, Kingsbury goes. Because, you talk about it, Will, all the time about the money. But when you don't have people buying tickets, the money is offset by nobody going to the game.
Fair.
And you're not just talking about concessions and advertising and everything else. So you got to do something. So if they don't make the playoffs and kind of collapse down the stretch, I think they're out.
They should lean into the Kyler Murray Call of Duty thing, get a marketing deal with Call of Duty and put it all over the stadium and bring in some money that way. I like Arizona here. New England's offense has played well once in the last 5, and that was against a bad Minnesota pass defense, missing several cornerbacks in that game. Arizona's defense isn't great, but it's not as bad as that. And they've had the bye week to get healthier on both sides of the ball. New England's defense struggles this year against mobile quarterbacks. Home loss to Baltimore, which is fine. It's Baltimore early in the year. Home loss to Chicago. We saw Fields eat them up. With Marquise Brown closer to full health after the bye, I think you finally get that receiver group mostly intact. We'll see what with Rondale Moore, but getting Hopkins and Brown and being able to throw both of them, I think is going to be trouble for the Patriots. And then trying to stop Murray is going to be trouble for them too. They played 3 primetime games. You figure, it's primetime. Bill Belichick shows up with his team. They've lost all 3 by at least a touchdown. I don't think they should be favored here. I think even though Arizona is not good, we're still giving Patriots too much credit for what they do against bad teams here. So I have Arizona plus 1.5 as a best bet. And I think now that it is at 1.5, it's a great tease number also.
Yeah, Cardinals plus 7.5 at home in prime time in a I don't want to say it's like must win because they're 4-8, but I mean, it is weird how in the NFL you can jump out like the Cardinals last year jumped out to 8-0, and the way they finished the season, you start 8-0, you don't lose a game till freaking November maybe, and you finish the season poorly, and everybody thinks about there's recency bias built into how you finish a season. Like a team can finish a year 5 and let's say 6 and 11, right? And if you win your final 4 games, it's something's happening with this team. We feel good about next year, even though you finish 6 and 11 or finish 8 and 9, and just the way that you finish, the way that you close out. So to your point, Pete, about trying to save the money, trying to keep their jobs. If the Cardinals rip off wins to close the season and get near 500, I don't think Michael Bidwell is going to can everybody.
You just said is it a must-win game? It's a must-win game for the Patriots.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. They have to have it.
Yeah, the Pats are currently the 8th seed at 6-6. The Dolphins and the Chargers are playing, and they're right there in the Chargers 6-6. They're right there in the mix too in the AFC. The Jets are at the
Bills.
Yeah, at the Bills, right. So yeah, I mean it's nut cutting time, man. It's December. So you get a lot of these games are must wins for these teams in December. No best bet for me here. I would probably lean under, although 43.5 is getting kind of low there. Texans at the Cowboys. Cowboys minus 16.5. Back up to 17 actually now. Oh my gosh, dang it. I have the under 45.5. We have the under 45.5. It's actually down to 44, which is a pretty steep drop. I looked at this, and over the last 12 years, when the spread is 17 or more after week 8, the under 6-2. in 8 games. It's just, it's just basically like you kind of know who like early in the season when these teams are favored by this many points, like sometimes it's sort of an overreaction to what we see in the first couple of weeks. Later in the year, it tends to be something where, the better team can just kind of stranglehold the terrible team. And I think that's what happens here. I'm going to have an under 45.5 best bet.
44.
No, I get 45.5.
I know. Look, I'm not taking either side here. I hate laying 17, but I'm not taking that team in 17. I can tell you that right now. I would, if I had to pick it, I would lean to the Cowboys. I'm not going to make it a best bet, but because you know what, you look at 17 sounds like a lot. And you look up after a quarter and a half, and it's 17-0 already, and then you're in big trouble. So I'll take the Cowboys, but I'm not making it the best bet.
Or the Texans score first, and you're like, oh my God, now I need 24. So,
but they got 33 in the fourth quarter the other day.
Yeah, they should. Yeah, it didn't look like they weren't going to cover that. I had the Cowboys last week, and they covered it. And it didn't, close your eyes and don't watch the game because it didn't look like they were going to cover it for a while. But Texans, I mean, went to Brinson's point, these later in the season games, you get these big spreads because the team's given up. And the Texans, I don't know why anybody's playing hard on that team anymore. They're headed for the number 1 pick. Switching quarterbacks again, that's going to fix it. Obviously, Davis Mills has learned his lesson after 2 weeks on the bench. But yeah, Dallas just had that 2-point lead, won by 35. They can wreak havoc on any bad offense. And Houston's offense is certainly bad because they're giving up 2 defensive touchdowns to Cleveland, plus the kickoff or the opponent touchdown. Went 1 of 12 on third down in that game. My power ratings have it as Dallas minus 18. So I think there's still a little bit of value playing Dallas. That's the side I would play if I was going to play it, but probably just going to be a stay away. And if you want to play something, maybe lean toward Texans team total under.
Yeah, Texans team. That's a good look on Texans team total under. I talked to somebody who had a 9-game teaser. I think 9-game teaser last week, and hit the first 8 legs. It paid out like 3 or 4 to 1 or something like that. The final leg was like Colts plus 21, and he like went to bed in the third quarter thinking, I mean, you're thinking they're down 2. There's no way this isn't covering, and that teaser isn't hitting, and you wake up.
Wait, a nine.
It was. I don't.
It would have had to pay a lot more than that, wouldn't it?
I think it was like 10, or maybe it was like Colts plus 24. So it was like 10 point teaser or something like that. I don't know what the exact details were. He lost a nice payout on that game, on that fourth quarter. I think a lot of them did. Jaguars at the Titans. Titans minus 4, over under 41.
Yeah. Look, history. If you look at the history of this series, the Tennessee Titans own Jacksonville. I don't think they've won in Nashville since 2014. Is that right? I think that's right. And they've owned them in their history. Even when in 99, Jacksonville was the better team, they lost to them 3 times. They can't beat them. The Titans stink on offense. Their offensive line is awful, but Jacksonville's defense is pathetic. I'll take the Titans. I'm not going to buck history here. I'll take the Titans.
You're typically your best bet there, right?
No.
Yeah.
Typically, Derrick Henry demolishes the Jaguars too, but he's not been playing that well with that line. I think his last 4 games, he has got like 81 yards. This is highest, and a few a lot lower than that, and averaging 3 yards, 2.5 yards per game, those type of things. Both these teams just got demolished. Only one of them faced a Super Bowl contender. And the Jaguars did not. I think Tennessee could rebound here in this spot. Jacksonville's defense ranks 31st in sack rate, so won't have the same type of pressure as they had last week. But the question is, will they have Treylon Burks? If Treylon Burks is ruled out because he's still recovering from a concussion, I don't like that offense at all because he really seems to be the only difference maker at receiver for them. It seems like Lawrence, if Trevor can play after suffering his injury, you question how effective he's going to be in that game, playing not at 100%. So I think him having a good game is key because Tennessee's defense is great against the run. So if he has a good week, if he continues to practice and he has a good week of practice and they say he's fine, I think I might lean to the Jacksonville side, but for now it's a stay away.
Trying to find the last time was actually 2013. The Jaguars won in Tennessee, which is a really, really, really long time.
Read some of those scores too at Tennessee. Look at it.
Let's see. They won 29-27 in 2013. 2014, they lost 16-14. I'm sure, obviously, when Derrick Henry gets going, this is when they start to get worse. 42-39 in 2015. These are actually close games. You think they're going to 36-22? Here we go. Here come the blowouts, right?
Yeah.
Let's see. 15-10. These are not that bad, Pete.
Might have been a Thursday nighter, I think. But go ahead.
Yeah, that was that end of season Thursday night. I think you're right. 30-9. That one's pretty bad. I'm going to get yelled at for this. 42-20. Why are you reading Jaguar scores on the? I'm not going to read anymore.
But you get the point. They don't win there.
They don't win there,
That's
and
all
I do think Derrick Henry could get going here. Like it's just
his offensive line on the inside is so bad though.
Yeah.
They were my spinning tops of the week this week. That's how they were terrible. The left tackle's not good. The left guard, he's a feisty little guy. He's tiny. It's like me playing left guard. And the center isn't good, and the right guard is average at best. And the right tackle's a rookie. They got problems up front.
They got problems.
But Jacksonville's defense stinks.
Yeah,
they put $120 million into that guaranteed money into that defense and all those draft picks, and they stink.
Yeah,
unless they're playing Matt Ryan.
Jay, do you think that the team gets kind of hyped up for Vrabel here with the John Robinson firing? That was a weird firing, by the way.
That's reeked of power struggle.
Yeah, no, it's a coup by Vrabel.
Talking to people around the league, they were there's no scandal or anything. Because John Robinson's
clean as it comes. Yeah. No, it's blatantly like he didn't want AJ Brown traded. AJ Brown went off, and Vrabel went to the owner and said, "Look, this is why I can win a Super Bowl if I had AJ Brown." And
no, he can't.
But yeah, I'm just saying it's a coup by Vrabel to take over, and the next GM is going to basically work for Vrabel, and Vrabel's going to get to pick it. Vrabel wants to buy the groceries. Is my theory.
Which 2000s Patriots defensive member is he going to make GM?
Ooh,
good point. Yeah, they always go back to the family. They always go back to the family. They always go back to the family.
Oh, maybe Tom Brady can retire. He can be GM. Jets and the Bills. Bills minus 9.5 over under 44, Pete.
Yeah, this is a tough game because Jets defense is actually pretty good, but I think, the Buffalo in this spot is going to want revenge for the last time they played them. And remember,
excuse me, what?
Well, it's not a revenge game. They're just going to want revenge. I don't believe it. They're not going to play harder. That's your theory on revenge games. But I just think that they're the better team, and Jets on back-to-back road games. And here's the other thing. At some point, Mike White's going to become Mike White. Let's be real. Nice story, nice kid, local kid from South Florida. But eventually, it's going to become Mike White. I think this is the game he becomes Mike White. So I'll take Buffalo minus the points.
And all the team were wearing Mike White jerseys after that first win. I remember Mike White shirts. I think coming to that second game, it's like, man, you guys really didn't like Zach Wilson. Like you're just really on board.
I think Garrett Wilson comes out. He's like, man, that guy's a dog. I'll go to war for him.
Yeah. I mean, my question is, was Zach Wilson wearing a Mike White shirt? I mean, or is it just like a bridge too far for him? So this line's creeping up now. It's 10. I mean, I kind of saw that coming. I wanted to play the Jets, but even at 10, I'm still kind of like a little bit against it. My lean would be more toward the under. It's now ticked down to 43.5. I liked it at 44. Jets beat Minnesota in yards per play, 5.9 to 4.3, but lost that game because they went 3 of 16 on third down, and they had those bad turnovers in the first half, one on downs, one as an interception, and that led to 2 easy field goals where the Vikings didn't have to do much in that game. Buffalo defense, much tougher matchup for them. They're coming off their best game since before the bye they had in week 7. And then you look at Mike White. He faced Buffalo in his last start last year. He had that great start,
threw 4 picks,
400 yards
in that game.
Threw 4 picks. He was atrocious. They lost like 45-17. So it's the same, Buffalo scheme. It's the same players mostly, especially now. You don't have Von Miller to make the defense better, but you got Trey White back. I just don't trust Mike White on the road. So I couldn't play the Jets here, but I do like the under a little bit. But 10 seems like a lot for the Bills too, considering how well the Jets defense has played. So probably going to be a lower scoring game to me. I'm just going to stay away from it.
Yeah, I tend to like the Bills a little bit here too. I think it's just kind of, they might flex down the stretch here. They got the Bengals and the Pats and the Dolphins, but Jets, Dolphins, at Bears, at Bengals, Patriots. I mean, you could just see them. You can kind of feel the Bills sort of ramping up. Feels like Josh Allen's elbow feeling a little bit better now. Like starting to.
He's been rested now. He had it was a Thursday nighter, so he's got
10 game, 10-day, mini bye. Yeah, it feels like they could get going here. I couldn't back the Jets.
Well, that Bills-Bengals game might be enormous, huh?
Might be huge. Could be awesome too. Hopefully I think that's on CBS. Chiefs minus 9.5 at the Broncos, over under 44. Just an absolutely disrespectful line to Russell Wilson.
Well,
but
I will never.
Respectful, I guess.
I will not take the Broncos. I will not take the Broncos. I will not take the Broncos. They are awful. If Kansas City had won last week, and this number was 9.5, even as bad as Denver is on offense, I might have said, okay, maybe I'll look at it and take it because their defense has played well. I'm not taking that Denver offense against anybody. the little round guy running around back there, quarterback, just isn't playing very well. So I'm not
fat.
no, but he doesn't move like he used to for some reason.
No. Rough on him now. No, he needs to know.
I don't know what it is. He's a shell of himself, and he's almost like he doesn't want to move. So no way I'm taking the Broncos. I'll take the Chiefs minus the 9.5.
Mr. Limited is what you're saying. I have this line as minus 11 in my power rating, so I think there's still value on the Kansas City side. I played it at 9. 9.5 is getting a little too high for me, but Kansas City won by at least 10 after each of their previous 2 losses, and those were at Tampa Bay and at San Francisco in those games, and they easily handled them. Denver obviously is not that quality a team, even if their defense is playing better, coming off a great game. Well, they had a rough stretch before that, but of course, then you use the Tyler Huntley argument. You used your Huntley argument for the Pittsburgh game, and they did that against Tyler Huntley, who was coming in cold. So we'll see there. I think Kansas City's focused on winning out, hoping Buffalo loses at Cincinnati later in the season, and then can stay 1 game ahead of Cincinnati for the home field advantage. So we'll see that there. Denver's offense, 14 touchdowns in 12 games, just unacceptable. I mean, if Kansas City scores 24 points, then Denver might not cover this game, because I don't trust them to get to 14 ever at this point. So my lean still to Kansas City at 9.5. I played it at 9. If it gets back down to 9, I like it.
Yeah, I mean, look, you point out the Chiefs after those 2 losses, and they played good defenses in terms of the 49ers, and then they lost to the Colts. They were 2 embarrassing losses, right? They lose to the Colts and just completely choked. Go and hang 41 on Tampa Bay at home. They lose to the Bills, and everybody's like, "Oh, that's it. The Bills are the best team in football. They've taken down the Chiefs. They've conquered them." And then they go and hang 44 on the 49ers on the road on Sunday Night Football. And then you have the Bengals, right? They lose to them on the road. It was like, "Oh, Joe Burrow's just got Patrick Mahomes' number." And so now you get the chance to really go and exercise some demons against a bad Broncos team that is probably packing it in at this point and thinking about, as Pete likes to say, Cabo. So yeah, I would lean towards the Chiefs here. Broncos team total under, maybe. I don't know.
Always. I think at this point they're hanging 14.5. I mean, even then I'm like, got to lean to the under there. Like, that's such a low number.
I know, it's crazy. It's crazy.
The question is, do you get the 3rd field goal to push it to 16? And that's how some of their games have been, is they get to 16 on 3 field goals.
I mean, Nathaniel Hackett's a dead man walking. Bucs at the 49ers, Niners minus 3.5, over under 37. Oh my God, get out of here with that number. This is a pretty huge game for actually, this is a huge game, Pete, because it could very well end up determining who's the 3 seed and who's the 4 seed in the NFC. And the 4 seed is likely hosting Dallas, whereas the 3 seed is likely hosting a much weaker wildcard team.
Correct, and it's a big game. And you know what? I like what I saw from Brock Purdy last week. And I know it's only one little
– got a little fire in his belly.
He does, and he's got a great coach that designs plays for him to make it easy. And I think that's going to play here. I think when you look at their defense, what they're doing, the Tampa Bay offensive line is a disaster. I think they'll be able to get after Tom Brady. We saw that for most of that game the other night. And this defense is better than the Saints defense. They're going to get after the quarterback. So I'll take the 49ers. It's not a best bet, but I'll take the Niners in this game.
And then Purdy, the comments, and there are always glowing comments about the backup quarterback when he comes in, about how we really trust him, whatever. But they say, he doesn't seem like a rookie. He doesn't carry himself like a rookie. He did have 46 starts, I believe, in college. So it's like he has some experience. I know it's different than NFL, but it's not like some of these guys coming in from college with 1-year starter or they get drafted early. Plenty of experience for him, game experience. So I think he can have a solid day against the Tampa defense that should limit him now that he's on tape, but they haven't been great versus the run. So what if San Francisco just pounds the ball and plays defense against this Tampa Bay offense that we know Brady doesn't like pressure at all, especially up the middle, and they can do that now with Armstead back. So Tampa Bay has a Monday Night Football game and then has to go cross country, just an awful travel and rest spot for them. I just couldn't do as a best bet and lay 3.5 points with Brock Purdy against Tom Brady. It feels like such a silly move to do, and that you're going to regret it on Sunday. But if it gets to 3, I'm probably going to do it.
Well, it looks like it likely will get to 3 because it's plus 3.
Trying to get to 3.
It's trying to get there. I think there are a lot of people in the same boat, though, that if it gets to 3, they want to jump all over it. That total creeping up a little bit. I mean, it's I don't know, man. The Brock Purdy, Tom Brady thing is like, I mean, I'm with you there too. It's like Tom Brady knows too. You win this game, and you're probably locked into the division. Like you haven't won it, but I mean, there's a very, you feel very good about where you are in terms of getting the division. They're currently 67% to win the NFC South, if they were to win this game, a massive bump in terms of their ability to take it down. So I'll pass, but I mean, I don't know. If it was 3, I'll consider it, but I can't do it 3.5. It's going to be a stinky game. Under is kind of interesting a little bit. All right, that's it for us. No revenge parlay. Any look aheads, RJ? No look aheads.
Yeah, forgot to send one in for Billy, but the Broncos are favored by 1 against Arizona on the look ahead line. Broncos shouldn't be favored by anyone. Arizona's not going to play till Monday, so we're not going to know what they've done against New England. Broncos are going to get embarrassed, and that line has to be pick 'em or worse, because I don't see how you make the Broncos favorite against anybody at this point. So I'd lay Arizona plus the point right now.
What's the look ahead for Buffalo, Miami?
7.
Ooh.
Wow.
Yeah, Miami. I have that line projected right now at 4.5 because I trust Miami a lot more than most people. So I think there's a lot of value on the Miami side there, but I get it that the market isn't as high as I am on Miami.
Boy,
so I don't necessarily think it's going to come down off the 7.
Right. And if Miami and again, like the look aheads matter, like what happens this week? Like if Arizona rolls and Denver gets humiliated, Arizona might be -3 at Denver come next week. I mean,
and we won't know because Arizona plays Monday. So we're only basing that off what happens with Denver, and they're going to get embarrassed.
Yeah. Pete's best bets: Chargers +3, Giants +7, Steelers, Lions teaser, Lions, Vikings over 51.5, Browns +6. RJ's best bet: Cincy -6 head to head, Carolina +3.5, Miami -3. Another head to head with Pete. Arizona +1.5 and a teaser with Minnesota +8 and Baltimore 8.5. Excuse me, Baltimore +8.5. I've got the Bengals -6, the Bengals over 47, Lions over 51.5, Cowboys under 45.5. And a teaser with the Bengals as a pick 'em and the Ravens +8.5. All in on the Bengals, and don't love the sides this week all that much. This is it's a weird week. It's a weird week.
It is a weird week. I had a hard time.
There's like a bunch of big spreads and a bunch of big totals. And
I also thought last week was a good week, and I had a garbage week. So
last week was just a really good week of football.
And you got the backup quarterback factor. How do you cap for like Baltimore's quarterback change and things like that? So it's
Purdy.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, that'll do it for us. Best bets week 14. Let's get hot. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. For Pete, for RJ, I'm Brinson. We'll see you guys later.